Head over to thebestsongever.com and purchase our new hit, Together Again. It is a cover of Smokey Mike and the God King. That's Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles. And with your help, we will smash our way onto the Billboard charts. Here's the big news, ladies and gentlemen. From SCNR.com, Colorado Supreme Court has disqualified President Trump from GOP primary ballot. Now, of course, it's more than just this. If they're arguing Trump is to be removed from the primary ballot, they're also saying the general as well. SCNR.com reports the Colorado Supreme Court disqualified Trump from appearing on the 2024 GOP presidential primary ballot. Tuesday's decision comes after a lower court judge in Denver ruled against removing his ballot access. Quote, a majority of the court holds that President Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the United States United States Constitution. Because he is disqualified, it would be a wrongful act under the election code for the Colorado Secretary of State to list him as a candidate on the presidential primary ballot. Now, many experts have argued this is a gross misinterpretation. The 14th Amendment does not bar someone from running for president. It's only related to federal officers, which are individuals appointed by the president or representatives and senators, not the president himself. The lawsuit has cited a never-before-used Civil War-era provision of the 14th Amendment, which we all know. Crew has argued Trump summoned tens of thousands of enraged supporters for a wild protest in D.C., and that racism and white supremacy, the same virulent ideology that led to the Civil War, in its wake, the 14th Amendment, pervaded Trump's insurrection and movement surrounding it. There's similar lawsuits being filed all across the country. Several states have already ruled no. Judges, we may see these get appealed to the Supreme Court, and the same thing may happen. You know, I thought it was going to be Colorado. Now, there's an important distinction here. The Colorado Supreme Court ruling is stayed until January 4th, but that's meaningless. All this means is by saying Trump can't appear on the ballot, they're saying when it comes time to print the ballot, don't include Trump's name. By claiming the ruling is stayed is meaningless because they're not printing the ballots right now. The question is, if 3 months out from Super Tuesday, Colorado, they do not resolve this, Trump will not appear. And then guess who's going to win the primary? I'd imagine Ron DeSantis. Oh man. You guys ready? I hope you have a trusty fifth by your side, because for those that are enjoying a nice drinking game, you're going to need it. But we'll start slow. I know you're all getting ready, but not yet. First, the GOP is going to erupt into just bickering and infighting like we've already seen. I mean, one of the big stories out of last night with Tucker was that Tucker Carlson said the people who represent DeSantis online are some of the nastiest, stupidest, and zero-sum people he's ever seen. It is apparent that the Republican Party is not getting along. However, most people support Donald Trump. And I'm not saying Republicans, most people. When they remove him from the primary and the RNC tries to give the nomination to someone else, I mean, there's going to be a revolt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a lot of people that took issue with what Tucker said about the DeSantis campaign, and I've seen some of it. Like there are some people on the DeSantis campaign that have been fairly nasty and stuff, but there were a lot of people that were really upset that Tucker had the audacity to point to say that he saw that, or that was his
Were they
impression.
all from the DeSantis campaign?
I think they were.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
it's a lot of fans of DeSantis, but look, when Christina Pashaw, who is basically Ron DeSantis' number 2, is personally leading flame wars against Trump's fans,
yeah.
You've debased yourself. You have lowered yourself to that of a fan. So if like Taylor Swift and Rihanna's fans are like arguing on Twitter, neither Swift nor Rihanna get involved, and nor do they care. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what Ron DeSantis' campaign decided to be. Yep. Just on par with Trump's fan base instead of Trump himself. So be it. But removing Trump from the ballot is the only way these people could win, which it's no surprise they've all made the move to try and win the nomination, because they all expect, at least everyone except for Vivek, they expect Trump to be removed.
This would be a great opportunity for them to prove everybody wrong and recognize the moment that we're living in, and for them to say, this is much bigger than my political campaign. This is much bigger than the Republican nomination. Vivek led it off perfectly. Mm-hmm. If they all rally around right now, rally around Donald Trump and say, hey, this is actually about preserving our democratic republic, that's what I think it's going to take for us to actually win. Because if we're divided, I mean, I fought a really hard Republican primary last year and unfortunately came up short because the Democrats don't play that game. If we fall for this time and we are not unified, we're not just going to lose the presidency. I'm afraid we'd lose the entire country. So I hope everyone recognizes what time it is right now and gets really serious.
They don't.
It's the
Trying to be optimistic.
You know what we should do?
Trying to,
you know the minutes to midnight clock, the doomsday clock they have.
yeah.
We should get one of those.
Yeah.
We'll call it the minutes to Civil War. There it is.
Nah.
Yep.
And we'll inch it forward. I love this. I'm seeing a bunch of Democrats tweeting in celebration.
Yeah.
And I'm just responding, being like, I'm really glad they did this because democracy is very dangerous to our democracy.
right. Democracy dies during the democratic process.
That's right.
Yeah.
The number of people on the what you would assume to be the responsible, reasonable left that are going to jump on this and be like, oh, well, and make excuses. There has been no due process to remove Trump from the primaries. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what mechanism Colorado is using. I'm not sure what
They redefined the law, right? They defined it as it can be for a president, and that was what they voted on, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose, but there's no other, it's unprecedented for someone to be, he hasn't been charged with insurrection. Insurrection is a specific thing, and it's something that's outlined in the law. There are certain criteria that have to be met. He hasn't met them to actually have carried
Right.
Been guilty of insurrection.
The legislative branch has codified what insurrection would be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's an insurrection act.
Yeah.
But let's address this because everyone keeps saying the same thing, and I don't think there's a definitive answer just yet. But we have this. Trump campaign blasts Colorado judges who removed him from 2024 ballot, vows to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, as he should, and he has to. And a lot of people are saying, but that they do this and Trump will immediately go to SCOTUS and get it overturned. Perhaps. But also understand, I don't know if the Supreme Court may be favorable to Trump, perhaps. I don't know that the Supreme Court actually can overturn this ruling.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to get a bunch of people screaming the 9th and 10th Amendment. This is not a general election held under U.S. constitutional rules. This is a private primary nomination process held by a state in tandem with other states to determine at a national convention who a private organization will choose to be their nominee, not a general. The Supreme Court may very well take up the case, and they may say, we have no jurisdiction over what a state organization is doing as it pertains to a private organization's nomination process. Imagine if someone was running to be the captain of the bridge club and there was some tomfoolery about and the ballots were, screwed up. And then someone, I'm going to go to the Supreme Court over this. They'd be like, we don't care about your private organization's leadership structure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the Supreme Court can intervene in a primary.
Yeah.
And even if it was federal, the precedence isn't really great. I mean, the Texas case where Texas attempted to sue all the states where there was discrepancies in the election, that never even got into the Supreme Court. So, I mean, this is just lawfare. Even if Trump can get it into the Supreme Court, they're just bleeding him out. They're making him expend resources that no other candidate's having to expend. And they're also beating it more into people's heads. Insurrection, 14th Amendment.
Yeah.
And then those of us that are, in the news every day will say, no, but actually he's never been charged. He's never been convicted.
Yeah.
But all people are going to hear who are swayable is they're going to hear, oh, insurrection. Man, he must have been guilty of an insurrection.
But look, the worrying thing, and the reason why everyone should get ready with their fifth, maybe they have Jack or something, is because when you have, what is Trump polling at? 2.3 up in aggregate across the country.
Ridiculous.
You can say Trump is an insurrectionist, but the average person is not accepting that. Mm-hmm. No matter how many times they scream it, the average person in this country, the majority, not even the plurality, support Donald Trump. So you run the risk of ripping this country in half. Now I'll give you some predictions. Colorado removes Donald Trump from the primary. Several other states follow, and they even make reference to Colorado and other states. Trump gets removed from the primaries. They don't need to worry about the general election.
Right. Yep.
Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley end up neck and neck. Ron DeSantis wins. You now have what? A 2024 four-way race? Probably not Biden, maybe. Let's say Biden. RFK Jr., Trump, and DeSantis all running. So perhaps what would happen then is no one gets 270 electoral votes. It goes to House delegations. It goes to Donald Trump. Let's say that Donald Trump is removed from the ballot in Colorado, but still ends up winning the nomination. I think Colorado has, as of 2020, like 1.7 million Republican voters. What will end up happening is if numerous states that are blue, we don't expect Trump to win anyway, remove him from the ballot, Trump will win the Electoral College with 50, 60 million votes, and Joe Biden will have 75 or whoever, or Newsom. Trump will win the Electoral College, becoming president. The media will then say, the Electoral College is archaic and broken. How can we have a president when he had 20 million less votes? The average person who doesn't pay attention has no idea why that is. They will simply be told people didn't vote for Trump, when the reality is you couldn't if you wanted to. Then what happens to the sentiment in this country? Mm-hmm. The people who support Trump won't back down. The people in Colorado who support him and want to vote for him, but who can't, will still keep supporting him. This is how I think we inch towards civil war.
That's why it's so dangerous. I mean, if you love this country and you want this country to remain as it is and continue on our path towards progress, like having the judicial branch step in and say, no, we're going to decide who's on the ballot, it's incredibly dangerous. And I think the Democrats just don't care. They're willing to burn down the entire system right now just to stop Trump from coming back into office.
They're ready for it to go to the Supreme Court. Like I can already hear them screeching about Clarence Thomas and his wife. Like if it goes there, like they've got that ready to go.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's like an invisible landmine that they plant all these waiting for it to go that way.
What happens when, without legislation, come August or July of 2024, I don't know, insert state Arizona, just says, look, we've gone over it. We think Colorado was right. Secretary of State just says, we will not be including Donald Trump on the ballot for the general election. Based on what we've seen across this country, the rulings are clear, blah, blah, blah. Sue us. And then they print the ballots without Trump.
Yeah, every single activist, justice right now at the state level, every single activist judge, they're licking their chops right now. They want to be the next ones to do this. Mm-hmm. And this is just blazing the path forward.
Arizona loves doing it.
Yeah, Arizona loves doing it. West Coast states.
Let me just say, I fully expect every single Trump supporter to not only agree with what I just said, but actually take it a step further. You should be thinking I'm wrong because I'm not going far enough as to what the Democrats are going to do. If you truly believe that 2020 was stolen from Trump in the most extreme ways with, Ian talks about flipping votes even that can be done through hacking voting machines and fraudulent ballots, then you better damn well believe that a Secretary of State banging a gavel, figuratively, is the first thing they do. Mm-hmm. If you think fraud is on the menu, the first thing they do is just erase Trump's name and say, sue us. And while you're suing them, they'll be doing who knows what. Yeah. Getting ready for phase 2.
I mean, look how tight the margins were in the key swing states where Trump maybe lost 2020. I mean, we're talking about 12,000 votes, 10,000 votes in just a couple of places. So all it takes is a few Secretary of States or even county auditors just to whoopsie and not have Trump on the ballot. Because they can say, look, we were confused. Like he's an insurrectionist, right? 14th Amendment. And then there you go.
Yeah, we thought everyone agreed. I mean, I don't know. What were you doing?
I was listening.
Media said it over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to like CBS, ABC, all those types of places on the way in. Yeah. And they use insurrection with a certain tone. There's no nuance to it whatsoever. Yep. They're in another dimension. Completely. Yeah. And the people who listen to them, unless it's like someone listening to them to see what their point of view is, which I'm sure there's some like me and others of us, they buy into that dimension.
And I'll go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
This is fascinating. We'll get into it in a little bit, but Donald Trump recently had this quote where he was referring to Democrats poisoning the blood of this country through their bad policies, principally immigration. And you get all of the media screaming Trump is now like Hitler because Hitler wrote in Mein Kampf blood poison and things like that. The funny thing is, the people being polled in urban Democrat strongholds overwhelmingly agree with Donald Trump. Yeah, they're outraged over the migrant problem. Now, again, I will save the migrant stuff because we do have a bigger subject on that. But I just want to point out the media is acting like the American people don't matter at all.
Right.
It's almost as if the corporate press realized, you know what? We no longer convince people. Let's just keep saying the same thing, knowing they don't believe us. And who cares? The deep state will come in with the boot and the iron fist, and we'll do what we want anyway. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.